welcome to this Badminton Europe update. My name is Rasmus Bæk and I'm the communication manager here at the Badminton Europe. Throughout this series we are talking to managers and senior staff at Badminton Europe to talk a bit about what's happening in the organization, what our Badminton Europe currently working on. And today we're going to talk about the circuit and also touching point with the technical officials. Tamara, events manager at Badminton Europe, welcome to you. And Tamara, this one is published between Christmas and New Year's 2020. 2020 has been a different year for everyone. Looking at, for instance, the circuit and the junior circuit, how was 2020?
Well, I can definitely say that 2020 was different than other years. We all know that it's been a very bad year for events in general. So, of course, our circuit tournaments have been cancelled during the year. We saw a couple of them taking place, of course, which is the thing I think we need to look forward to and take with us. And we learn from those tournaments. So, yeah, let's just hope that 2021 is getting a little bit different than 2020 and that we can move ahead with hopefully a little bit of a more normal calendar than 2020 was.
What is the current situation as of right now?
Well, in 2020, we didn't have a lot of tournaments. We're now preparing 2021. We did a circuit organizers workshop recently to actually share experience from the organizers who hosted their tournament and have some best practices completely shown and explained to all the other tournament organizers who are still looking forward to organizing their tournament in 2021, hopefully, but who are unsure about how to do this, how to deal with all the difficulties that COVID-19 brings with it. And I think it was definitely a success in that we still have a good chance to have somewhat a normal calendar next year.
We saw, among others, the Portuguese Federation organizers executing one, Bulgarians, Latvian as well. Looking to the first month of 2021, do you expect more cancellations to come, or how do you look at that?
I think the first part will still be a bit unsure, of course. We all know that the vaccine is coming, but for sure it's not going to be distributed in the beginning of 2021. So I think it's going to be up to the organizers to see how they can handle all the restrictions and the measures that need to be taken. But I definitely hope that halfway 2021 that we can start a normal calendar, maybe have some tournaments postponed from the beginning of 2021 to maybe later in the year. But we also see some organizers who are very keen and very eager to organize their tournament, even with restrictions, and we have proven that it's possible. So I honestly believe that with the experience that we have and that we can support them with, that they are able to do, at least some tournaments are able to go ahead.
What makes them so keen of actually organizing?
Well, I think everybody misses badminton at this point. It's not only the players, of course, but it's also the spectators, the technical officials, the volunteers, the people who organize. They actually like doing it, which is also a reason why they do it, I suppose. And it's something that needs to start up again. If we want to save badminton, then I believe that we honestly need to go further and need to do something just for the sake of the sports.
Looking back at 2020, the lockdown basically began in March. We also saw some cancellation and postponement very early in March. How was the dialogue with the organizers back in the beginning of the lockdown compared to now?
Well, in the beginning, you look at the entire situation with a little bit of disbelief. I don't think anybody of us has expected this situation and how it evolved. So in the beginning, you're just like a little bit stunned, but then you have no other chance than to just cancel events because it was basically impossible in the beginning. So the only thing that we could do as Badminton Europe was just try to support our tournament organizers and yeah, just accept the cancellations that came in, although it's really bad for us as well that we lose all those tournaments. But by now we've seen that it's possible. We've seen that it is, with certain restrictions and measures in place, that you can do a safe tournament. COVID-19 testing right now is a global thing. Everybody knows it and every country has it, which makes it more possible, gives you more opportunities to do something in a safe way. So I believe everybody has a little bit more knowledge now. What is COVID-19? How can you deal with it? We all know about wearing masks, you know about the hygiene concept. So right now it's easier, I think. In the beginning you had no clue. And now people are getting along with, okay, this is how we need to do it, and this is how we can make it work.
How was the support from Badminton Europe for the organizers? What did you do?
Well, of course, in the beginning, we also needed to see how things worked, but we gained some more experience. For example, with Latvia organizing, Bulgaria, Portugal. We also had juniors in Finland, where we gained a lot of knowledge and know-how of how to do this in a safe way. And that know-how we, of course, want to share with our tournament organizers, especially for 2021. We did the circuit organizers workshop with all the information in, and we will keep continuing sharing this knowledge up to next year. We will also look into the possibility, of course, of supporting them in different ways, which still needs to be, of course, decided by the board, especially if it's on a financial base. But we also know that BWF, for example, has lowered the prize money up until now. So going from $25,000 for an international challenge tournament to $15,000, and from 10 to 5 for an international series, which is, of course, a big financial support or relief for a tournament organizer, that they know that they do not have to give that amount of prize money in 2021. And, of course, from 2022 onwards, it will go back to normal as before.
When I look at the tournaments we saw, the first one we actually saw was a junior circuit tournament in Bulgaria. Correct me if I'm wrong, please. We saw things changing a lot from March to August, but also from August to November, actually. What are the biggest takeaways for you, actually?
Well, in general, we started producing these COVID-19 guidelines, of course, from Badminton Europe out, which is at least the base for tournament organizers to know how to deal with this, and what they need to adhere to as a minimum. They can, of course, go further than that, especially if their government asks them to. But I think that already helps a lot to know, like, okay, this is how it can work, and it's been proven to work. So this is definitely something that is also for 2021 very important for them. But I think the takeaway for the main group of organizers is you have to adapt. If you cannot do it like you always did, then you need to find new solutions. If you cannot have spectators in the venue, then be creative and bring the venue to the spectators. So make sure that you put effort in making live stream, TV coverage, social media, take pictures, do interviews on site. If the spectators can't be in the venue, then you need to promote your tournament somehow. Instead of selling T-shirts now, sell masks. It's small things, but I think this creativity is important, to think outside of the box for once. Maybe it's a good thing that for now maybe tournament organizers will actually think outside of the box, which and they haven't done that before. And it's also very welcomed by everybody, because I think people in general still want stuff to happen rather than it being cancelled in general. So if they can't go to the venue as a spectator, I think they're still going to be happy to be able to watch badminton on a live stream.
We have seen, and it's actually pretty clear if you look at the calendar on our website on badmintoneurope.com, that some of the circuit tournaments has been checking a bit. Some are normal in September, now it's in February, and vice versa. Will we see that kind of changes along the way, meaning basically postponements, or will we see cancellations in 2020? What is your expectation?
Well, we strongly suggest tournament organizers to think rather about a postponement than a cancellation.
Why?
Because for us, for example, it's important, as said, that badminton is going to happen anyway. But second, tournaments that have been cancelled in 2020, this year, which was basically almost inevitable, that will cancel again in 2021, that would mean that they wouldn't have their tournament for 3 years in total, which is a very long time. And that will also be bad for their sponsors, for example, for in general all the partners that they have. So I think it's pretty important for them to actually show them that they are still going on. And if that's rather with a postponement, which probably will be the case for the beginning of 2021, the tournaments there, to the end of the year, then rather that than not having it at all.
Tamara, you and I, we have actually both been tested for COVID-19 very, very recently, yesterday. We have both tested negative. Hopefully soon we don't need too many tests because of a vaccine. What is the discussion right now regarding a vaccine in terms of can you attend a circuit tournament if you don't get the vaccine? For most European people, it will not be mandatory to take a vaccine, but it can be mandatory-ish if you cannot participate or cannot fly or cannot do what you want to do? What is the discussion around that topic, if any discussion at all?
Well, at this point, we're not discussing it because I think it's a little bit too soon for us. I think the governments and of course, the people that are working in this kind of area need to be sure first and see how they will deal with it. The only thing that we have been looking into is making the COVID-19 test mandatory, which is not the case right now. But I think we have to go to that one first and making sure that every player and every person going to a tournament is tested before arriving in that country even and going to that tournament. So we are sure that we start with a safe bubble, at least.
You have been traveling to Finland for the European Juniors. You were also at the EMTC qualification in Belgium. I was in Austria. We saw that everybody was tested. What is your, if you try to paint a picture of how do people react to the fact that you have to be tested, otherwise you cannot go?
Well, players are actually asking for it. They also don't want to risk anything. A lot of them are still going for Olympics in 2021, which is their main goal. If they get COVID-19 before that and are out for a couple of weeks, even longer, suddenly their lung capacity goes down. I don't think that's something that they want to experience at all. So overall, they want to feel safe as possible. So you see that players are very, very keen on adhering to all the restrictions and the measures, that they want to get tested before, even on site again, even during the tournament. They don't mind. They also don't mind, for example, on having the mandatory or the obligation to stay in the official hotel, even though it might cost them a bit more, but at least they know that they're in a safe bubble. So there, I don't think that there's any trouble at all.
And I guess it's the same for the technical officials.
Technical officials are also very eager to get back on court and do something again. So it's the same. If they can get tested, if they can go to a tournament and umpire or be referee or line judge, doesn't matter. They really want to go.
The technical official, of course, also plays a crucial part in badminton and also in everything to take place. Tamara, how did you guys, your department, communicate with the technical officials throughout 2020? Normally, I know that you guys have a lot of contact, a lot of communication to the TOs, because of course we need them to go to tournaments. They want to go to tournaments. 2020, not that many tournaments, as we already spoke about. How was the communication between Badminton Europe and the TOs?
Well, first of all, we already communicated very soon in the year that we actually wouldn't take into account the record of work of 2020. Normally they have to do a minimum amount of tournaments, a minimum amount of matches, for example, for umpires, or for referees, a minimum amount of tournaments to still be recognized as an international umpire or referee. But very soon, actually, we already saw this is not going to be possible at all to maintain. So we communicated to them, okay, we're just going to take the numbers of 2019, so everybody is still in the loop anyway for 2021, that we don't lose anybody already, and that they are not too worried and not too scared of losing their status, but also that they are not taking any risks if they don't need to, which was highly appreciated, I think, by a lot of them. And then second, we tried to keep the communication high. We organized webinars in April, May, 3 of them together with Latvian Badminton Federation and the Umpire Assessment Panel, where we talked about how do we do assessments, how do we do appraisals, information actually giving to them. We showed them video clips, for example, about decisions and how to deal with certain situations on court. So we tried to keep them in the loop and tried to keep them active somehow and keeping them busy.
Do you have the feeling that they got what they need?
Well, I hope so. We're still going to do some more webinars in the near future for them. But yeah, we're also trying to get things started again. So let's hope that we can get them back on court soon.
Yeah, and what's really very important, in my opinion, to remember is that most of the technical officials are volunteers. They are not paid staff. That's people who is actually taking holiday to go to badminton. Of course, you're not a technical official, but still, I would like actually to know how was the life of a TO in 2020. They were taking away a lot of the normal opportunities and also experiences.
Yes, for technical officials, as you say, it's a holiday. It's something they do in their spare time, not as a job. They see each other as family. So basically, they haven't been able to see their family either, their international family then, which is sad and which also made take away their energy to actually umpire in the future. If they have been out of it for such a long time, it might have an effect on the quantity. And that's really sad because, of course, if we don't have any officials, we also don't have any sports. It's the same with players, but it's also for the officials the case. Second, they have been gone for now at least a lot of months.
It'll basically be a year when we're back.
Yeah. It's if you do something regularly, it's very easy. It goes like it's normal. But if you're out of it, then you need to get back in. So I think we also will have some job to do some more coaching in the beginning to make sure that we can get the quality back to the level that we had before, which is also important. So it's both quantity and quality that we now have to watch out for in the future, and hopefully that it will not have that much of an effect, but you never know.
And hopefully we'll have enough tournaments for all the teams. That's the next question, of course. But Tamara, at the end of 2020, of course, I heard one of our colleagues say it's been a year we don't want to try again. I think most people, that was a nice way to saying it, I think. Yeah. I don't think we want to repeat this year. But what is the one big star blinking for you in 2021 in terms of circuit and TOs?
That's a difficult one because, as you say, we don't know what's going to happen. So let's hope it's going to be a normal year again. What I'm happy to see is actually that regarding TOs, for example, we actually did still quite a lot this year. So we still did assessments, appraisals on all levels. We had, as soon as we had a tournament, for example, Portuguese International, we did a referee assessment there, a successful one. So it's good to know that our TOs still see that we, as soon as we can, that we still try doing things. And it's the same for our circuit organizers. So as soon as we can have a tournament happening, then we will support it fully. We will do a course there. We will do something that helps them organize their circuit tournament. And I just hope that the organizers are willing to take some chances, as we say, to go forward, even if it's uncertain or difficult times, but that we can at least see that some of them are willing to adapt and to take a chance.
This is recorded in mid-December, published between Christmas and New Year. Of course, changes can have happened in the last 2 weeks or so. But what is the first scheduled tournament for 2021 you expect to go on?
Well, for now, the first scheduled tournament is the Swedish Open, which is little over half of January. So normally the first tournament is Estonian International, but that one got cancelled, sadly enough. But Sweden is still very keen on going ahead. And they're looking into all kinds of possibilities. So unless the government tells them they can't do it, they say that they want to do it.
So hopefully a lot of players traveling to Sweden soon.
Let's hope.
Tamara, thanks for coming and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too.
And Happy New Year to you guys as well. And remember that you can, of course, follow the circuits, junior and the elite circuit, on our platforms. And as Tamara said, use our social media, because that's also a way to support badminton, and especially to support the circuit and the organizers. Thanks for joining this Badminton Europe update.